Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with British Boxing Hall of Fame trainer Joe Gallagher, Champs Camp. Joe, good to see you with a smile on your face. Good to see you showing around a budding young journalist as well too about the history of this place. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Yeah, good to see you, mate.
Yeah, it's a lovely day, and I appreciate you opening your doors to me once again. Let's get an update on the gym. I just saw Jack Massey, who has enjoyed his time out of the ring. However, he's itching to get a fight back. What's the latest with him?
Yeah, no, he's definitely itching. He's obviously he got married last year, had a big year. Do you know what I mean? He won the European, he won the Commonwealth, then he had the fight with Okolie, and I think it was November time, and he's definitely itching now. He wants to be out. Do you know what I mean? And I wanted him out, say March time. I definitely want out March, April. No later than May. We can't be like that. Get him out again and get back in the mix for a world title again. That's what I really see with Jack. He's in the gym, and obviously he became dad. He got married last year. He had a lot of on this year. Now it's good to have all them things done now, and he can concentrate on his boxing.
There's one name that gets mentioned whenever I talk to you about Jack Massey or Jack about the fights that he wants. It's Callum Smith. He's locked in with a fight with Brandon Glanton right now, but what's the likelihood that he gets in with Chris this year?
I think it would have happened. I thought that fight would have been the right time. Both of them come off losses. Okolie, he came off against Gilberto Ramirez, so it'd be like the two semi-finalists fought each other on that bill. So surprised, as you said, it was Glanton. So bless me. I thought that was the time to make the fight, but listen, it's up to Jack now and his team to Boxer have promised him a comeback fight and an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Zelfa Barrett is someone who's walked through these doors.
Yeah.
Look, he's a very talented fighter. When did the link-up happen? How quickly did that form between you two?
Listen, I've known Zelfa for years, like I say 10, 11, 9 years ago. He was helping me with Crawler, with Linares and sparring with Quigg and that. So I've always known Zelfa and his uncle Pat. And even back then, I always thought Zelfa was a really good talent. He's done very well in his career. I do feel there's a bit more for him to come. I do think there is a world title on him. We've just got to bring that out of him now. I think that link up happened very fast. I was away. I think it was in Saudi somewhere. And then someone messaged me and said, I think Zelfa wants to come have a chat. I think I got back on the Monday, I got told he wants to come and see you Tuesday. So I just phoned Pat straight away and said, just to let you know, I've been told Zelfa wants to chat. Just want to make sure it's all right with you. Had a good chat with Pat. And that was it. Zelfa came the next day, did a bit of a session. And yeah, you can't turn the talent that Zelfa Barrett's got. And when you look at what I think he might be able to do and add to his game, I'm really excited.
Yeah, just unpacking that a little bit. First of all, the handover between you and Pat, sometimes that can create a bit of a fractious relationship between trainer and trainer. Obviously not here being the case, but What was that handover like between you and Pat?
Yeah, no, good as gold. Listen, like you say, the gymnasium he's took over from Brian Hughes done very well there, just not pros but the amateurs and the kids that are bringing through. Champs Camp obviously with Phil Martin years ago, Maurice Core running it, and ourselves, we've always had that mutual respect. We've always got on with Pat, and never a problem. And I think for Pat, most of being a family or a strain, he can enjoy being an uncle now and not be stressed out and turn up and watch Zelfa fight. So yeah, there's no problem there with Pat. Do you know what I mean? We just had a great conversation. And I had to speak to him first before I ever spoke to Zelfa, and that was it. And yeah, there's no problem whatsoever.
What would you say, before having had Zelfa in the gym here, are his best assets and the assets do you feel like he has to work on as well too?
Only from when I've seen him sparring in the past. I've seen him sparring in the past when he's been on the front foot, and his hand speed is very good, and he's an unbelievable body puncher. And people must be thinking, well, what Zelfa Barrett's he's watching? Well, it's the Zelfa Barrett that I watched when I've seen him sparring your Crawlers and your Quiggs and that. And I want to bring that out a little bit more in him. I think he's got some unbelievable lightning speed. He's got a fantastic jab. We've just got to work on the right hand a little bit more. But it's like anything. One of my fighters goes somewhere else, they'll be able to pick and improve them somewhere else. So it's just a new, fresh set of eyes, different environment with Zelfa, who's training alongside today, Jack Massey, Marcus Morrison, he gets on with, and like I say, Tasha and all the other fighters. Just where he's come from, he's going into another stable full of hungry, young up-and-coming talent, and they'll keep him pushing and working hard.
You mentioned something that exactly what I think about sometimes when I see Zelfa, and I think other boxing fans and pundits say the same things, getting that extra bit of gear out of him. How, as a trainer, just in a general sense, do you have a plan in place to get that out of him? How do you kind of foster that extra step out of him?
I think it takes time. I think it's confidence. Zelfa knows a certain way and everything else, but it's just getting him to believe in what I'm wanting to do. So that'll come with sparring sessions and breaking down things and, as you say, filming it and him seeing himself doing it and then believing it. Do you know what I mean? And I think it'll take time, but it's in him. And I'd never tell him something that I didn't think that wouldn't work. I think he's got so many other strings to be added to his bow. But there are a couple of them anyway. And we'll just see what the future holds. But I do feel there is really a world title on Zelfa Barrett if we can manoeuvre him right there. Listen, whether that's super featherweight or lightweight, how we manoeuvre him. His manager Steve Woods, Eddie Hearn. We'll see how it goes.
CJ, what's the latest with him?
CJ was due to fight on April the 5th out in Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan against the WBA number 2, and contracts deal done. And then obviously I got a text a couple of weeks ago saying, the fight's off, he won't be ready in time. So that was a bit disappointing. So CJ's number 2 in the WBO at the moment. So Ramirez has got to fight Dorticus. I thought Ramirez Opatai would have been the fight that they would have made next, but obviously Dorticus is on it, but we'll see. But it's just getting him an out in now and then. Must be getting a shot at a world title or a big fight of some sorts, do you know what I mean? So, but he's in the gym and he's training.
We had a brief conversation off camera as to the future of Natasha Jonas, and you said, look, you've always kind of been saying these last few minutes that you want to see Natasha Jonas retire. She's come off the back of a defeat to Lauren Price. Just as the dust settled, your kind of feeling as to how that fight went with Lauren?
I spoke to Sasha last week. She hadn't got off the settee for 2-3 days. She went and did a run. Now she's got a bit of a cold this week. Then she's got to go on holiday. Then we'll sit down. Like I say, you can't make decisions there and then. It just needs time, and everyone's emotions will settle down, and the boiling water calms to clear water, and then you can make a rational decision. I just thought on the night, as Lauren was just a little bit, when we were about to pull the trigger, she just beat us to the punch a little bit at times. I think we did have success early on. We landed a couple of good body shots that I felt Lauren felt. And then rounds 9 and 10, Lauren sort of fought the fight that we anticipated, that we thought it would be. And Tasha had good success in them. But once Lauren was up, I think Lauren got caught with a big left hand early on. She boxed at range and then tried to come in and back out again. And that was it. But fair play to Lauren Price. She's only 30 years of age. She's got a big future ahead of her. And as far as Tasha, it's a shame whether she retires now. She really wanted to go out with that Katie or Michaela fight, which would have put more pennies in her pocket than what she did for Lauren Price.
What's your kind of feeling on it, like in terms of Tasha being able to compete? Look, see, Lauren's got the win over her, but do you still feel like she'd be competitive a win fights in the division? Fights that you're looking for?
Yeah, it was like Anthony Crolla before his last fight. He was brilliant in the gym, and everyone's going, "Why are you retiring? Why are you retiring for?" And then obviously after 2 or 3 rounds, he just couldn't pull the trigger no more. He was having a life or death with a kid that we brought in over 10 rounds. And Natasha, she was looking very good in training. We had good sparring. Sparring Josh Holmes, good pros, timing. And Tasha's really a 3-minute fighter, and I think that fight the other night with Lauren Price's amateur pedigree is still that shoe shine. Only needs one good combination, you won the round and you can dance type of thing, where we really wanted the 3 minutes, 10 threes. I think it might have suited Tasha better down the straight. Lauren would have got tired of legs and got her, but it's all ifs, buts and maybes. But whether she goes on now and carries on and has a win and goes, I never wanted her to go out on a loss. I always wanted to go on a win, hence why I wanted to retire after Maya and then Habazan. But Tasha being Tasha still wanted to push and push and push. So we'll sit down and we'll have a good chat and we'll see what happens.
So yeah, how does that conversation work? Like if she says she wants to continue, do you kind of say, look, I really want you to maybe...
She's sensible Tasha. Tasha knows where I'm coming from and the reasons for it, and she'll think long hard about it. at the same time, there's a saying, you're a long time retired. But Tasha at 40, she'll be 41 in June now. I don't really like the thought of a 41-year-old mum boxing no more.
But if she was to continue, the fights that you're looking for would be those big fights, like Katie Taylor's and such. Those are the ones.
She needs to come back with a significant win, and then take it from there.
Okay, there's been obviously news with yourself, Joe. Don't know how much you want to speak about it, so feel free to gloss over these questions if you don't want to. But obviously, recent news with yourself with a stage 4 liver and bowel cancer. Just getting that news, or the first kind of signs of something was amiss. What was that like, Joe?
Well, first it was the bowels, then they said the liver. Now they reckon cyst on my thyroid and possibly something in the kidneys. I had my 3rd cycle yesterday, so if I get a bit forgetful, I'm getting a lot of brain fog at the moment. Some people say it's just me, to be honest, but that's a bit of shivery, cold all the time. But it was out in Dubai, and you touched on it there, symptoms. I didn't have no symptoms. Everyone's perception of last year or during last year was, look at Gallagher there, he's over there at the Tyson gym, he's at this dinner with this one there, Eminem and all that, and Lawrence winning world titles, Tasha winning world titles, Jack Massey winning the European, Josh winning the Commonwealth, and jumping around rings like idiots. And it got to November near my birthday, and I thought, I'll go and have a private medical, because my mate had been and said, it's brilliant, it tells you this, he had to lose weight. And when I went, they went, your cholesterol's good, your heart's good, blood's good, God, you've got to live for a good while type of thing. Then they said, you want to do a stool sample and all that. I said, yeah, I'll do the whole lot. And then it was the stool sample that my phone started blowing up over in Dubai, and whatever it was, I was never got to answer it, because I had Lawrence's fight. I said I'd deal with that once Lawrence fought once, so I went and seen him. Then they said I had bowel cancer. And then I went and the day before Tasha's fight against Habasan in December, I went for a PET scan and another type of scan, and then they turned around and said, no, your liver's worse than your bowels. Now, at that point, I was due to go under the knife on January the 4th to have my bowels removed, but then they said, your liver's worse, so we've got to hit that with chemo and smash it and shrink it, or keep it as it is. Obviously, the bowels were blocked. I had to have a stent fitted for passage. Then they said to me, Tasha fought on the Saturday. They said, you're not allowed to travel. And I went, well, I'm going because Mo's fighting. And I flew out Sunday, and then Mo was due to be on the Wednesday midweek show. And then they came to me on the Tuesday and went, guess what, we've got Mo on the Saturday show. And I had promised my consultant that I'd be back on Thursday to have a meeting. So we had to have a Zoom, and then he told me everything. And then that's it. Mo fought, came back, and then they cancelled going under the knife. And I'm on 4 cycles of chemo. 3rd one I did yesterday, and then we'll have scans April then, and we'll see if we have to go under the knife still or not. So, which I'm sure we will be. But in the meantime, I've just got to carry on as normal. Do you know what I mean? In the gymnasium, same with my family. They were like some of the last to tell, because I would have found it very emotional, hard to tell them first. And you don't want to, your parents and your children don't want to see you broke. And I think by telling, I made a list on my phone called the Cancer Squad list of that when I was going for the op, that I had 17, 18 people that I could trust, that I could phone, and that would give me different types of conversation. Like Natasha Jonas is one, she's funny, just she rips me off. Then I've got my mate, do you know what I mean? Thomas at Clyde. I've got different personalities that have different conversations at different things. So over the course of me being in action for 6 weeks, I thought at the time these people that I'd pull it through. Then came to Joe Cooper fighting at the co-op recently. I was in the change rooms beforehand, and I was absolutely doubled over with a stomach cramp. I don't know what was going on. So Marcus and Okolie were walking to the ring and said, you all right? I thought, I might have to go back here. Absolutely, you're not going to biting down back teeth. And I thought, no, I can't let this control me. So I just walked to the ring earlier than I should be. We got the win and came out. At that point then, and I thought in that changing room, 1 or 2 knew, 1 or 2 didn't. And some people going, what's up with him? What's up with Joe? And I just thought, this is controlling me now, who we can and can't. And I never told anyone till after Christmas. I didn't tell no one whatsoever. I didn't want to put my problems onto people, even my own family. Do you know what I mean? Just want them to enjoy the Christmas, and that's it. And at that point then, that was it when I thought, right, I'm going to do this statement in February. And the 17, 18 people that I told, they were like, wow, they're a bit shocked now because it's out there and they did a job of protecting me and keeping it quiet. That now it's out there and reading it, it's real. And then hence the import of messages and Instagram messages and people tell me the stories of their parents, grandparents, brothers, uncles, sisters, cousins, and the treatments they were having, the links to getting the treatments. And people, just strangers, that took 10 minutes out of the day to tell me that. I was quite touched by that, and I replied to all of them. Obviously, the boxing community, a lot of them got in touch. Obviously, you can't reply to everyone and still be here doing it now, but I replied to everyone with a love heart just to acknowledge and thank you for everything. And that's it. But I just felt that it was out there, and if I am a certain way or whatever, it's no excuse for fight with Lauren Price. That was just me being me usual, siege mentality. But it was just, I didn't want some people not knowing. I wanted it out there to raise awareness, and that's what I'm doing. It's nothing to do with pity me and pity this. What has given me the hick is when people are saying, are you okay? And then they go, no, are you really okay? And I'm like, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. But what do you want me to do? Break down and cry in front of you? You're not got to break me. Do you know what I mean? I'm all right. And like I told my kids and told my family, if everything changes, I'll tell you, but it's business as usual. So obviously we've just gone through. Mo's just won, obviously Tasha's fight. Got a bit of breathing space. Just went out and seen Lawrence last week for 2 days. Make sure he's all right. Obviously had to pull out the fight. Have a chat, have a conversation, see where we're going, plan training. And that's it. Now back in today. I had treatment yesterday, back in today now. And we've got Joe Cooper and Huey Malone making the debuts in Maine of Frank Warren's show. I think it's on the Kakatsi show. So we're busy with them too. Mikey Talon will be out. And then my big hitters will be out. Then what I call your Jack Massey's, Callum Johnson's, Lawrence Okolies. So hopefully everything never fell into place. But when they said I wasn't going under the knife in January now, chemo, I was really happy. But I was happy that I could do all the dates and all the fights. Because going under the knife, I would have been out of action for 6 weeks. So when I said to everyone to jump in the gun with Natasha in December, and I was threatened to be sued over what I said, it's because no one knew. But I needed to sit down and I tell Natasha what was going on before everyone announcing it. Because if I would have gone under the knife, that fight wouldn't have happened. And that's what I was saying. You're all too quick to jump the gun. Do you understand? I needed to speak to Natasha first. And I was surprised it was announced when I was in Saudi, because I'd only left Tasha on the Saturday night. And one, I wanted to see how she felt fighting, she being out of the year for a ring, but also to say that to her. But I wasn't going to say it until like the new year or just before it. I wasn't going to put that pressure on her. So yeah, there was that to deal with as well.
I couldn't fathom obviously getting that news, but if I put myself into your shoes for a second, I'd imagine it would be pure disbelief that, see if you felt that you had no symptoms at all, like surely there's something wrong here. It's not happening to me kind of thing. Was it like that for you? Yeah,
it was. It was a surprise because I came out from a colonoscopy and they said, listen, the camera, we can't get the camera any further up. It's totally blocked. You can't drive. You can't fly because it's got a puncture. You got the Mickey, because it's the Tom and Jerry effect. That the mouse is at the end of his finger over the pipe and he's blowing in the middle of it, it's just blowing, and that's how it is. So then they put me on a low residue diet and stuff like that. And when I was speaking to the consultant about it, about doing the statement, I was in two minds. I said, I don't want it for pity me. I wanted to raise it for men's awareness. And they said to me, listen, Men's Awareness Month is April, but for the sport that you're in and the person and what people perception is of, like in boxing, it's a hard man sport. We don't talk about this. We're hard. We do this and all that. And people's perception of me having the best life ever, like last year, just like, yeah, wow, shocked me. And you got to remember, Lawrence just won. Then I got told, and he says, Balkan. So I just said, yeah, it is what it is. And then I did the Zoom when I was in Saudi, and he told me, yeah, it's confirmed with the liver and all that. And he wouldn't really tell me at first. And I said, just tell me. Jesus, I'm not a rich tea biscuit. I'm not going to fall on the floor. Just tell me. I said, I've got to weigh mowing in a minute. And that was it. And he told me and went, right, that's it, and gone. And I don't know whether I'm still believing it's real or not, because I don't really want to entertain that. People have sent me books. I start reading on it. And I just feel like, why am I reading this? I mean, it's negative. I don't want to read it. So I'm just trying to be purpose, trying to throw myself into the boxing all the time. And people say, you look well. And I'm like, well, how are you supposed to look like? It's not like you walk around with a load of welts on your head and everything else. Yeah, exactly. Listen, my hair's not gone yet, so that's a good thing of it. But I am on the strongest chemo, do you know what I mean? And there's some side effects that comes with it, but you just got to get on with it. And me being in the gym here and still pushing and everything else, you just got to lead by example. And listen, some people, like my consultant said, you'll have to learn the hard way, because when he said to me, be out of action for 6 weeks, man, you really mean 3 weeks, don't you? You're only doing that for insurance purposes so you don't get sued and all that. And he's like, oh, you're going to have to learn the hard way. He says, but I'm advising you to have a holiday, because if you go under the knife after it, you've got to need all your energy and everything to deal with it. So I said, yeah, I'll deal with that coming up. But just don't try to entertain it. I just want to carry on living as normal. As you see in Fight Week, me just being me and fighting from fighters all the time.
I know that one of the greatest things about it is you're a family man through and through. And you said like you didn't want to bother your family with it through Christmas. You want them to enjoy the Christmas, and so family extends to your fighters, people you train. How did they take the news, your family, and also?
Listen, family were devastated. They had no reason. My daughter said to me, am I retiring? I went, no. And she said, I hate boxing. And I said, well, why? What am I supposed to do, love? I'd stay at home and watch loose women all day or whatever. That's just, it's not me. Just let me be me and do me. It's what I know. And that's it. And then from the fighters, a good few of them were upset. And it's hard for them to take on board. But like I said to them at times, what you're crying for? You've not got it. I'm not crying. So that's it. Just got to get on with it. And I don't think they realised I don't think they knew how to react to it, some of them. I know Natasha didn't. I've heard her interview. She didn't know to, but then she felt quite touched that she was one of them that I told, do you know what I mean, with the situation that I thought of her that close to tell her, do you understand? So, that's it. It was hard, but there's some people that I wanted to tell. I'll give you an example. Scott Quigg I wanted to tell, but he was just about to become a dad for the first time. Beginning of January. I couldn't ruin that moment for him. That's him, and I know there's a few people that when it came out didn't tell me, but it's because I thought I knew what you were going through, and I don't want to put my stuff on you. Does that make sense a little bit? So I was very aware of who I told and what I didn't tell, do you know what I mean? So, and sometimes I sat down to tell people that I thought I could tell, and when I was there I thought, I don't feel comfortable telling you. I don't think you can keep it. It's too much of a hot potato, so I didn't. Where there's other people that I didn't, and I just, sometimes you've been talking to a stranger and you can just open up to a complete stranger of everything, and I didn't do that to anyone, but that's what I felt sometimes just talking to general people, do you know what I mean? But His Excellency, when he heard the news, was brilliant. He offered to fly his doctor straight over to me and everything else, and he's been brilliant. I know he gets a lot of praise for what he's doing in the boxing world, but from that side of it, it's just him and his team, just first class people, in my opinion.
What are they doing for you?
No, listen, when I go to Saudi, when Mo was fighting, they were making sure we were looked after, making sure the nearest hospital knew, all stuff like that, do you know what I mean? And I brought stuff for me, medication, but they're always checking in with me. His Excellency, how are you? Everything all right, brother? Anything you need, brother? So, it's sound. And there was an awful lot more. I'm not just singling one out, but some people just see this perception, and I just think, well, he's not just that, he's this as well.
Talk about kind of men's awareness and obviously going to see people about any health issues and things. I get the sense with yourself, of course, having knowing you and just how you are, and with what you're saying there as well too, is you don't like being a burden.
Yeah, that's a burden. That's the word. Yeah.
Is that what it is? You just don't want to. You just want people to go ahead with as if it's normal and not.
Yeah, I've said it to my kids. It's just like, just go to work, do what you need to do, go to work. Do you know what I mean? And I said to them, my sister's been over. Obviously, at first, like you start putting your ducks in a row. Do you know what I mean? Wills, and if this it's this service with this and arranging, and it's tough conversations, but they have to be done. I think more so because I've been through it before, not me, but I've been close to someone being with it before. So Phil Martin here was diagnosed in November. He was gone in May. So when at first you get told you're bowel and then say your liver's worse, then they say, oh, there might be something in your throat now. You think, Jesus. It's like, I feel like a wildebeest and the bow and arrows are going in. Do you understand? Does that make sense? You just pull them out and go forward. But I know the real aggressiveness of it after going through it with Phil. Do you know what I mean? Seeing him there and then gone in May at age 44. So I know that subconsciously. So that's why I say to the kids at the time, and that's why we had to stuff. Listen, live your life. If I was to go tomorrow, next week, or next month, or next year, I can't complain with the life that I've had. Listen, it's been tough, hard upbringing. I had to fight for everything that I've got for and everything else. But the places that I've been and the venues that I've been to and the highs that we've had and the success that we've had, I can't complain about that. People live to the age of 90, never have half of that, do you understand? And I'm blessed that my children are old enough, turn up to good adults, good jobs, and I'm proud of them. But like I said to them, just crack on. It's normal. If there's anything to tell you, I tell you. Don't, as I said to you, I don't want that pittiness and that, it just gives me the ick a little bit, do you understand? But at the time, obviously Chris Hoy there, like I say, it's 46, and we're trying to bring the screening down to 40. And when they send them out, people that have said to me, they've had stool sample kits sent out from the NHS and they've not bothered with them and sent them back. And I'm like, wow, you need to. That's what got me. Do you understand? And you'd never know if they had the chest pain or kidney pain, but that's from using the body belt. You've seen this in the body belt, you get whacked left, right, and centre, and that's just part of the job. But there was nothing whatsoever to suggest anything, and that's why we really want to do something on this in April and make men's awareness and get the government to keep lowering their age to men. You don't have to wait to, I think it was 54, 52, 50, 45. Because Chris Hoy was 46, and if he would have got diagnosed at 40, had a screening at 40 or a stool sample at 40, most people wouldn't have had it. My consultant said to me, most of us started around 8-10 years ago, this, Joe. And there's blown up really bad to the size of what you've got and what you've got inside you. And if you would have had a screening before 50, you might have, I won't say done anything, but we could have got it a little bit earlier, do you know what I mean? So it's only through me taking myself off a medical, a private medical. I think it's like £1,000, £1,200. I know, and not everyone has that to do that, but that's why we really want to push that narrative and get it down. And if it's just a stool sample, I know it's embarrassing, I know it's this and this, but just do it. It's going to save your life, because I'd hate anyone to be surprised in the way that I was, do you know what I mean? Because when people they go, Joe, like bouncing around the ring the other day with Tasha or Lawrence or whoever, and don't see me, no finger, and that's it. And me sat here, you today, you must think, no, you're the same as what you were last year when I came here and interviewed you. And so that's what I'm trying to be. I try to be busy and keep active. I don't want to sit and think about it, because there's all types of rabbit holes out there, and the amount of people that are sending me, get this, take this, and there's some of it I have, some of it I haven't. Sometimes there's a side effect. It's like I've been told ivermectin is good for my bowels, but there's a kickback on the liver with it, so I've just got to be a bit cautious at the same time. But everything else, I'm trying to do the best that I can. It's very easy to become all of a sudden give me everything. Do you know what I mean? And just got to be careful at the same time.
So what's your day like dealing with it then on a daily basis? How's your day?
Yeah, well, I'm also on a low residue diet as well, which absolutely kills me. For some low residue diet, it's like the certain foods you can't have. I can't have anything sweet. I can't have no chocolates. Can't have no desserts. That's a killer for me. I can't have no coffee. I can't have no vegetables. I can't have no fruit. The only fruit I can have is a banana or tinned pears. I can't have anything skinned. Chicken's got to be skinned. Fish has got to be skinned. No skin on. Yeah, so it starts lowering what you can and you can't have. White toast, you can't have any other bread apart from white bread. There's lots of things, seeds, fruits, berries, nuts. There's an awful lot. But that's what you got to do, really. That's it. So the low residue, because you got a chicken wire stent fitted into you, passing through. The best way to describe it is a kitchen sink. So like spinach, that never goes down the sink. Cornflakes don't go down the sink. Does that make sense? It's things, they say seeds and fingers you can't, but yeah, I've just got to be very careful that I don't block this kitchen sink up.
And I think you mentioned to me when we were preparing for this interview, you said your previous day you went to chemo.
Yeah, it was yesterday, that chemo. Yeah, they're tough because you just come off a week of no medication, so you're on it for 2 or 3, and then you're off it for 1. So the times that I've been off it for 1 was, I was fortunate Mo was in Saudi, and then I was off it the week for Tasha, or the week where I've just been to see Lawrence. I was coming off the week of Tasha. So you have a week off and then you go back on it yesterday. But when you go back on it like yesterday, all of a sudden, your hands are sensitive as well. You've got to wear gloves all the time, opening fridge, any cold water, it's like razor blades. It's just shivering all the time, really cold, stomach cramps, and you just feel a shell. And I've been around a few people and you can hear my stomach gurgling out loud and you feel it's there and you just feel this fight's going on. I'm not saying I've been pregnant, but just like the Alien is a better example. You just feel, what on earth is going on here? There's a massive fight going on. And sometimes you get the stomach cramp, but the side effects I'm having, sometimes a little bit of blurred vision as well, forgetfulness. Some will say I've always been like that, but they're not that bad, hence why they can still keep giving me the strongest chemo there is. So it's getting up now, because usually I used to get up in the morning, never had breakfast. I was always big on fasting. Every time I was in Saudi, I'd obviously do 96 hours or 108 hours at a time, just water. And I just think, wow, God, I did all that as well. And I'm sure if I didn't do them fastings, I wouldn't know what would have happened. Do you know what I mean? But it's just, it's weird, the diet side of it, going out for something to eat, or restaurants, or put this type of stuff, a truffle oil, a bit of garlic, and can't have garlic, all stuff like that. And you got to ask them, well, can I have that without this and out that? And it's, it's hard. But listen, there's it didn't really hit me till I went to Christie's, because of the institution, what it is here in Manchester, and being part and jumping on that hamster's wheel. I didn't want to jump on it. And at first, when it was bowels, I said I wasn't having chemo. I wanted to explore every way naturally without it. But then when they came with the liver, I had to have the chemo. Do you know what I mean? Although I'm not stopping exploring other routes as well at the same time. But yeah, that was tough. But when I came out of Christie's, I thought, it was hard that going there, seeing so many people with this rotten disease. It's shocking.
Is boxing your strength through this?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's... Tasha said a good thing before a fight. She got interviewed, and it was a comment that I talked about Natasha, and she said, Joe and Mush will become apart once he stops. If he stops, that's when he'll come apart. I thought, wow, you know me too well. So I think would anyway, anyone would be, but I'm just not allowing that. I just think your mind's the main thing. Your mind's the main thing in this, and we've got fights to win in outside the ring. If I try and change me in any way, I just think that's just going to upset the mind, the rhythm, the body. I've just got to be how I've always been. Points to prove, titles to win, people to show they were wrong, to write this off, write that off, and just keep that mindset. And if you keep that positive mindset all the time and not have them rabbit holes, dark moments often, then that's the way to deal with it. I think it's mind over matter. Maybe a bit foolish. You do need treatment, but you've got to be just turn up and do it. Today's a little bit harder to start the day because you wake up and you're fatigued, you're tired. I used to get up and have no breakfast, touching back on what I was saying, and then I'd have my first meal at Junior's around midday. But now I have up in the morning, I've got to get up, I've got to take my medication. Like today now I'm on steroids, I'm on nausea tablets, steroids, and I'm on call it chemo tablets. So it's very hard the first 2 or 3 days. It's like bang bang, and you wake up, you're tired, you're fatigued. But hence why I was in here today straight away, day after, just to force my body to be how I always am in the gym, in shouting, bollocking, doing things. So just be me.
Let's get back straight into the boxing, Joe. A couple of fighters I missed off, and I messaged you and said Muhammad Al-Akel looked really good in his last performance. How do you feel he did in his last fight?
Yeah, no, for Muhammad is under huge pressure for each time he fights. He can't have a fight and not perform or show an improvement. So you're dealing with a kid who has 6-7 amateur fights, who's never really been in that ABA final, national title final situation where there's pressure, win or lose. And all of a sudden there, he's got no nerves. His debut, beat Bev Bivol, took that, being strolled. Then he was on Fury Usyk, not a problem. Fought better, had the knockdown. This time again, showed better sense of maturity. You see his body frame, the work that he's been doing with James's S&C for the last year is really coming into place. Now he's beginning to understand that it's about the hurt business. He's showing a little bit more spite. Still has to be a little bit careful, but we're dealing with a kid that's learning on the job. And when Mo's due to ring walk at 2 minutes past 7 and say, no, he can't, you've got to wait till His Excellency's here. That shows the pressure is on him. So Mo turns up at 20 to 8, and then there's Eddie, there's Frank, there's Spencer, there's Terence, there's Usyk, and he's doing that. He's learning on the job on the biggest stage, but how he's handling it is unbelievable. I was saying it to Zelfa, there isn't a nerve in his body. It's just so laid back. We went to the Ring Awards in London, didn't want a picture of no one. That's not his game. His Excellency made him have a picture of, I think it was Canelo, Crawford and that. And then Teofimo Lopez, he struck up a good relationship. He came over talking to him. So Mo's just a kid that just wants to fight. He's doing that. And I'm no disrespect, but there aren't that many. We can't name too many good Saudi fighters off the top of our heads over the years. And I think Mohammed has got to be one of them kids that will do. And some of the fight talent that we've got coming through the Mike Tyson gym at the moment, that are in Kazakhstan at the moment in tournaments, there's got to be some really good fighters from them coming through as well. But Mo's improving. He's doing Ramadan over there with his family now in Riyadh. I'm sure he's wine and dining with His Excellency a couple of times. But no, can't wait to get him back in the gym and get him out again. But I'm glad you said that, because Mo was disappointed in his performance. I think maybe because he didn't stop him. But I've said to Mo, I said, I don't want you stopping people. I don't want Clark stopping, I don't want Mike stopping. I want you to get rounds under your bank. I'd rather get to 10-0 and have 60, 70, 80 rounds experience than 10-0 with like 15, 20 rounds, because you've got to fight people more experienced than you now. You've got to learn these fights, to practice different things, and they are doing. The power will come when Crawler wasn't a puncher. When it came to the big fights and the big nights, he knew when it was time to. You got to punch now. You knock kids out now. Now's the time to do it. Do you understand? And that all is what will happen. It's great. Everyone wants to show reels and that early on, but I think sometimes kids get there too early and they're not ready to go through the door.
Is there a pace in which he has to move through the levels? I get the feeling that Saudi Arabia want like a big start.
Yeah.
That's what do you think? Can he match that pace?
Well, as His Excellency says, you get him ready, we'll get him the opportunities. So that's what we're working with. And I think, listen, his debut was 4-rounder. His last two fights were 6-rounders. Most will be doing 8-rounder next, and then they'll be talking about youth titles. So then you start getting ranked. So that's the speed. But you've got to look at him at the same time, and we can't. And this is what I tried to explain to a few people. It's like having a plant, and you put the seeds in. You keep pouring water on it. That's not got to grow. Time's the best thing. It needs a little bit of sunshine. It needs a little bit of time to grow. Do you know what I mean? And develop. And it just needs the right little bit of water, right little bit of sunshine at the same time for it to grow. But you can't just water it and drown it and grow. And we've got to be careful that we're not got to drown Mo. We've just got to give him his time and let him grow. But he will grow, and he is doing it. And he's sparring well. And now Zelfa in the gym will be a great addition. It'll be good for Zelfa. We've got Ewan Malone. We've got Josh Holmes. And he's learning with all them kids, which is good. So, I've got big hopes for Mo.
There was an expectation that Lawrence Okolie was going to take on Richie Rackpole, but he's since had to pull out of the fight. What happened with Lawrence?
Yeah, no, he suffered an injury, and from where he is at the moment now, WBC number 1, there's no point taking risks when you walk with an injury, not 100%. And like I said to him, Lawrence, you just got to look at Daniel Dubois and everyone else. You can't risk it at this level, so if you're not right, you're not right. Because trust me, if you get beat, they're not got to give you a way in. They're not got to give you a way back in. So your WBC number 1, you've got it all to lose. You've got an injury. Let the injury heal 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll look at it. But I really feel Lawrence now has to be on these big stadium fights. We can't have him on these O2s and co-op shows. Lawrence needs to be stadium. If there's a big, massive stadium fight at Wembley this year, Lawrence Okolie has to be on it in a fight. He needs to showcase him as the WBC number 1. And I think he's deserving of a position that on there now to fight on them shows. I don't know what type of show they're doing, but speculatively, if it was going to be, say, I'm going back at what His Excellency is doing at the moment. And His Excellency at the moment isn't doing a one-line headline act show. He's doing Madison Square, Times Square with 3 big hitters. You look at the last Crescendo show, Things. Look at Wembley coming up now, Conor Benn and that. I think if he does, hypothetically, if it's Usyk Dubois, well, then I feel there's got to be another 4 big heavyweight fights. He must do 5 massive big heavyweight fights. Now, if that includes Anthony Joshua versus somebody, if that includes Joseph Parker versus somebody, if that includes Moses Atuma, that includes Lawrence Okolie. But that's the type of bill these people that are about to fight for these world titles, if they become vacated, and get them out there and put them on the biggest stage and the biggest names. They're the type of fights that I want for Lawrence Okolie now. I want him out there. He's number 1 WBC. Cabiel's the interim champion. That's a fight that can be made down the road. Cabiel's just fought. I think he wants out again. But that's what I want Lawrence to do. Listen, we're in that position. We're not got to risk it. We'll have a fight and a defence, whatever belt Lawrence has got, and get him out there. It is what it is. And like I said to Lawrence, listen, there's fighters out there, Anthony Joshua, listen, Orland, they'll come back against you, Warlins and everyone else's and everything else. It says, you want someone that people know, but we'll give you rounds, because you've not had rounds as a heavyweight now, and get a 10-round points win or an 8th round knockout, something like that, and that's what you need. And to get rounds in the belt before you have this big fight against Cabiel potentially. Do you know what I mean? Cabiel's just had a good fight against Chang. Confidence is flying. Most will fight again, and him and Okolie, depending on what happens with the belts, most will fight each other down the road. But I think if it doesn't, I think Joshua's number 2 WBC. It could be him and Joshua. You just never know. But that's where I want Lawrence now. Lawrence has to come out of this show now and get on this big stadium fights and let everyone be talking about him in the same way to talk about Joshua Dylan White, Sora. That's a big stadium fight, and Lawrence Okolie has to be on the undercard of that.
How do you rate the difficulty of it being possibly Cabello and Joshua. Which one do you think is the tougher prospect?
I think they're two tough fights. I think they're really good fights. I think there's a familiarity and a friendship with Joshua that'll be a bit hard for the two of them. Cabello, he's like the bogeyman of the division. No one wants to fight him. I don't know no heavyweight calling out Cabello, none whatsoever, and that includes Usyk. I've not heard none whatsoever call out Cabello. So yeah, and I think no one's really calling Lawrence Okolie out neither. Obviously, we put a name forward for the fight when Okolie stepped in. We took that fight. We accepted the fight. His Excellency was big on the fight. I was already there with Mo. Lawrence was only an hour up the road in Dubai to jump on the plane, and even brought his kit with him in case there would have been problems with customs and visas and flights. And I thought logistically wise, it was better for them to have Lawrence, me selfishly, because costing wise, you had to go through 2 or 3 fights for Okolie. He wasn't there at the weigh-in, and Billy from Scotland. There was a lot more stuff added to it where Lawrence was the easier one to have given it. But I understood Anderley's reasoning and Spencer's reasoning for not taking the Lawrence fight, because they feel, I don't know if it's in you can take anyway, but to say that Joseph's reputation would be worse losing to Lawrence than it would do to Okolie. Yeah, I half get that, but Lawrence isn't that bad of a fighter, and Andy saying that understands at the moment, but Lawrence Okolie, they know is a serious threat, and not many people are calling out Lawrence Okolie. Dylan White's a conversation as well that we've spoke about. But the trouble is, I keep saying, and it's just been proved right, you can't guarantee he's not got to turn up on the night. For whatever reason, this one now being a hand injury, whatever's happened in the past, do you understand? It's a gamble for a promoter to take that fight. There's no guarantee, do you understand? So, yeah, there it is. But that's what we want Lawrence. We want him out in a decent fight.
From a trainer's perspective, does Cabello look to be the boogeyman as he's perceived?
Yeah, it is. Listen, Chang dropped him, but it's how he came back then and his body shots, and then what he's done to Frankie Cruz, he beat Sanchez, and yeah, he's just a good fighter. He's got good gun momentum. He's got the tail between his legs. Do you know what I mean? So he's really good with it.
Number of topics I want to get your take on, Joe, in the boxing world. First of all, this Eubank Jr versus Conor Benn fight, which has seen a lot of developments in that fight, including a Piers Morgan interview between the two men, Piers interjecting as well there too into the mix. First of all, the latest thing is that Eubank Jr has offered a private bet with Eddie Hearn as to the $1 million, whether Eddie Hearn takes that bet, as he put it out to bench long first. I don't think that's quite allowed, but in amongst the mix of this fight, in amongst the egg slap as well too, as an old school guy, as I call you, not to
it's okay. Yeah, no problem.
To say that you've been and seen a lot of things in the sport. Is this the way you want to see a mainstream fight be presented, Eubank Jr and Conor Benn, to the masses?
Well, you can't say it's something that's not happened before. You've just got to look back the years. Ali Frazier rumbling around on the stage. Do you know what I mean? There's been slaps in the past. Chisora slapping Klitschko over in Germany. Chisora flipping tables. It's like Mayorga cracking someone. I forgot who it was at the time. It was De La Hoya, Trinidad, something like that. So it's not something that we want to see, but it's not something that hasn't gone before neither. Do you understand? And as Eubank Jr said, it was his opportunity to embarrass him and show him and publicly humiliate him that he was, as he keeps saying, he was a cheat, and you can't have kids growing up thinking cheating's allowed and good. So I can understand it from Chris Eubank Jr.'s point of view. The egg, well, like you say, if it'd gone in the eye, the fight would be off. They'd be suing each other left, right and centre. So most probably know it wasn't a good thing. But for the drama of it all, we've seen it all before. Do you know what I mean? I think Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson were rolling around and Tyson bit Lennox Lewis's leg and all that type of stuff. So it's not something we don't see before. We've just got to make sure it doesn't go too stupid like Misfits and we have cages in it and all that type of stuff, glass screens. But yeah, but for Eubank Jr, I think the way that he's conducted himself and handled himself and not risen to the bait of them saying he's not getting on with his father and or not liking him, a bit below the belt. But it's that's a bit personal, that, do you understand? So I hope the old man turns up fight week. I really do, with his sheriff's badge and parliamentary procedure and dancing, and just steals the show, really, and takes the pressure off his son. And his son can sit back, laugh and enjoy and be relaxed going into the fight on a fight night.
I hear a lot of people kind of say that they're turned off from the fight because it's not the best versus best. This is just a fight for, essentially, of course, a grudge match. But
yeah, you can do, and I hear people saying that it's going up to be it's coming up 2 weights and 3 weights, and he walks around at 170, 180 or whatever. Well, if he does, then why have you got a hydration clause put in place? Do you understand? It's like, if you're that comfortable, you walk around at the bigger weights, and what you got a hydration clause in, come on fight night then, do you know what I mean, at your 170s, 180s that you're talking about. So it's hard really to judge this fight. One, Conor Benn's not really been tested. He's never fought for a Southern title, English title, British title, Commonwealth title, European title. So we can't really judge him against the opposition that he's fought, because he's never been in that position. He's had wins, and some good wins against some fighters, but if you go on his performances on his last 1 or 2, how that kid's got to turn up and, without being allegedly under the influence of anything, and produce a performance that I think can beat Chris Eubank Jr. and like a bigger puncher than Liam Smith. It's like, I don't know where the guy, Liam Smith isn't just he isn't a massive puncher, but he's an accurate puncher and a stiff puncher, and he's got a boxing brain, and Liam Smith's brain, shot variety was too much for Eubank Jr., as well as being able to punch and being a stiff hitter. And I feel Conor Benn, I don't know, sometimes I don't know whether they try to kill us and just got to run in and all that, but you see in Eubank, and people are quick to diminish him, but I feel like being in George Groves, I was sat there ringside in Manchester, and he was still swinging in the last round against a bigger, stronger man after getting hurt early on in the fight. He ragdolled James DeGale about the ring. James DeGale's a quality operator at boxing. He went to Turkey in the background and knocked Yildirim out, this big pressure, strong fighter, which everyone at the time thought, wow, he's a bit of a danger man. So when he wants to, he can turn up, and we've seen that with Liam Smith second time round. Obviously, Liam wasn't in the best position, but at the end of the day, you've got to give Eubank credit due. You only beat the man that's in front of you, vice versa. So I just think, I don't know, and it's been write it down in black and white and paper like that, how can this kid who's not been tested, come with these weight divisions, think that they can beat this man? I just can't say it. There's a saying, a good big and always beats a good little. And yeah, Eubank's getting on 35, 36, but he's got miles on his clock, and he's not really absolutely been fighting hard fights 3 or 4 times a year for the last 4 or 5 years. Do you know what I mean? He's I think when he's on it, Eubank Jr. is a different kettle of fish.
How will the rehydration clause affect him? It's £10. He's got to weigh in really early in the morning on the day.
I think as much we've done, the better with Eddie there now, so Eddie can pay for whatever poundage he comes over with. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's wrong. If you ought to come up and step up and challenge someone at that weight, then everything that comes with that isn't. There's no IBF belt on the rule, and there's no £10. And if Eubank wanted to come in £12, £14, let him. You're the one who wants to challenge it. You wanted to challenge him and everything else, then do it. You've got to abide by Eubank Jr.'s rules. I'm not a fan of it, because I want Eubank Jr. to be at his best. I want Conor Benn to be at his best, but I don't want Conor Eubank worrying what he can eat and can't eat because he's got to make a weigh-in at 8 a.m. in the morning. Then it's hard then to put that extra weight on. Then it's usually after the weigh-in, then you wake up in the morning, go to bed at night, you put a stone and a half on. To put it on £10, do you know what I mean? It's hard to put a good bit of weight on again after that.
So what is that? Is that a sluggish fighter in the ring? Is that a fighter?
No, in a sluggish, Eubank Jr. will know, his coach will know what his best performing weight is. Like I know what Lawrence Okolie is. I know what the best performing weight is, because you know when you're monitoring the training camps, the best sparing sessions and the best weight there were on the days. So if Eubank Jr. and they've agreed to it, thinks, I think I'd be good at this. What fight's 160? I can most probably be good at this at 170, 12-2, something like that. Then it's like, right, okay, then, well, here's what it is. He wouldn't agree to it otherwise. But it's just that tail on bend on it. I don't want excuses afterwards. And it's like, well, I was dehydrated and I didn't make weight, and Conor Benn's jumping about on it. And, people say, well, you didn't really beat the Chris Eubank Jr. because you made him not put the weight on that he wanted to put weight on. And I think the board have got to be really careful about this as well. There's no titles in the £10. They want 2 hydrated athletes in the ring. And if anything happens to Eubank Jr. and they've agreed to this and anything comes of it, That'd be interesting to see. I mean, there's no need for that. There's no titles on the line. There's no IBF. There's no need for it. The board have got to make sure that this Eubank Jr is hydrated proper. With
that all said, and hopefully everything is okay on the night, who do you think does get the hand raised?
I think Eubank Jr. I just think his IQ, he can box, he can fight, he knows when to take the pressure off, he knows what to expect of Conor Benn. I see Conor sparring Denzel Bentley, good sparring. But Eubank's not stupid, and Eubank's always thinking, I've been with George Groves. A prime George, or big George Groves, was on fire. I know he did his shoulder in the fight, but being James Gale, being bigger men, stronger men, Yildirim, he knows Eubank, he can punch a little bit. He's most thinking, how? I just don't see it. That performance of him in America last does not beat the Eubank Jr. that turns up and beat Liam Smith.
The other thing I want to get your take on is this latest development in the boxing world with TKO forming a partnership with Riyadh Season and Turki Al-Sheikh to create a new league headed by Nick Khan and Dana White. I believe at the moment the details are scarce as to what it is going to be and how it's going to get off the ground. As such, Dana White has said as much as those things aren't kind of finer detailed, but it has led to, I suppose, a bit of a squeaky bum time reaction from the promoters who have not been included with it and maybe seen it as competition. Turki Al-Sheikh has said on a Twitter space that, like, we're not looking to delete anyone from the space, but we're looking to kind of create boxing fights for boxing fans. And what the UFC does with their model is they want fans to acknowledge that they always put in the best with the best wherever they can. First of all, do you see this league format with Dana White, the way UFC have done their model, applying over to boxing?
I'm not sure. One, because the fighters that they need to have, they're going to have to talk and speak to the promoters, Bob, Oscar, Frank, Eddie, Ben, do you know what I mean? Lou DiBella, they need to go and get their fighters off them. So I'm sure they'll all be involved at some point. But for me, I just feel it's something different. It's not something that's got to change that much, but I think it's something different. And we had Prize Fighter, that was a new format, that went really well. We had the World Boxing Super Series, that was unbelievable the first season, that was really good, the production, the fights, the champions that came out of it. And now we're doing this boxing league, so we're all open for change or different things like that, and I think it'd be good. And what it's doing is keeping boxing on the back pages. And we were saying years ago, we had to pull our socks up because UFC is on the point of taking over boxing, all the best are fighting the best, but thanks to His Excellency now, boxing, we are getting the fights to see, Bivol, Benavidez, Crawford, Ashley, and now with this new league, we'll most see the best fighting the best in this again, or maybe not. It may be a different thing, whether it's just a ring. I've heard it's got to be the 8 weight divisions, which will be interesting to see who moves up, who moves down to try and get in it, but just sit back and enjoy it. And listen, if it becomes a success as what Prize Fighter was and what the World Boxing Super Series, it's only good for boxing. But let's see what they do. Let's see, wait until everything's unveiled. And I think for the territory in America, I think that's very much needed at the moment. I think American boxing needs a shot in the arm at the moment. We've got a lot of big hitters that are retiring or just finishing, and you've got Errol Spence, Deontay Wilder have been around for a while. Obviously, you've got the big New York show coming up with Teofimo, Devin Haney and all that. You've got the Tank. But I do feel the Ring magazine carries a lot more weight in America. It's been around 100 years, and if that's the belt that they've got to fight for, it's more knowledgeable, and people remember the Rocky belt, as they call it, as a Rocky belt. They remember Muhammad Ali being ring champion, Sugar Ray Leonard. Do you know what I mean? It really registers with that territory, America, and that's where I feel boxing needs that shot in the arm. So mostly that's why Dana White and Khan, they're over there. Then all that I think they really need to do to get them Vegas nights going again with boxing, where the UFC and the Sphere and everything else. I don't think boxing's had one in the Sphere yet. Do you know what I mean? It's a shame, and that's unheard of now. You'd mostly think Cinco de Mayo now, May, it would be Canelo or Oscar De La Hoya or Chavez or whoever it would be over the years gone past that would have been taking that Sphere date.
I want to ask you, of course, I should have mentioned a former fight with yourself, Callum Smith, got a real good win over Joshua Buatsi. A lot of people thought that was a 50-50 fight, maybe picking Joshua Buatsi to get the win. He's now put himself in a prime position to get another big opportunity. What do you think of his win over Joshua Buatsi?
No, it was a very good fight. I won't be surprised. I know what Callum's got and what he hasn't got. What I was surprised before it, that Josh Buatsi, how often he got hit against Willie Hutchinson a little bit, and I just thought to myself, well, you can't have Callum Smith hitting you like that. And there's a couple of times where you thought the ref might have jumped in, but I knew at some point the fight, it'd get down into the trenches and it'd be a dogfight. It got into the trenches quite quickly, didn't it? And it's easy for them to say, oh, that's one of the fights here, and it is. It's just a shame it was so low on the card. But if you were to try to sell that fight at the time in Liverpool or the O2, sure, we wouldn't have sold. If you tried to sell that in a rematch now, most people would do. Would either of them want the rematch? Would they want to go through that again? It's a bit like a Ward-Gatti type of fight. Do you know what I mean? One was hurt, then the next one was hurt. It was a really, really great fight. But I think Callum now, he wants another shot at the world title. It's always been his ambition to be a 2-weight world title. Josh Buatsi, obviously, it took him a long time to get into that position, into that fight, after him coming from 2016, 8-9 years. You think, oh, has he missed the moment? He should have been moved a little bit quicker. Was it too long on this Yard Buatsi fight? Is that a fight that could still happen? Yeah, most of it could do. I've seen Yard wanting to fight Callum Smith now, but I think Callum dug in there because Callum has always wanted to be domestic number one, and he couldn't be losing to Josh Buatsi. And if you look at his resume, he's only lost to Canelo and BTBF, do you know what I mean? Jesus, 2 pound for pound legends, do you know what I mean? And he has got that in him now that people can see. He has got that dog in him, as well as catch left hook and body shots. And it was a fantastic performance, and he dug in really well.
I want to ask you as well too about the purported rematch between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. That seems to be the way things are moving off of the back of Daniel Dubois pulling out of the fight with Joe Parker due to medical reasons. If we do get that second undisputed heavyweight fight in about a year or so, do you feel Daniel Dubois can do anything to change a defeat into a victory?
No, I think it's a different Daniel Dubois this time round, and I think for Alexander Usyk it's a chance to be 3 times undisputed. No one's ever done that before, and plus he wants to go, do you know what, you made a lot of noise about this body shot, do you know what I mean? I beat Joshua twice, I beat Fury twice now. Yeah, come on, you're undisputed. I didn't get Johnny Nelson the other day kicking off saying Joseph Parker. He's not world champion. Daniel Dubois is, and if they want to make a unification fight and undisputed, well, Daniel Dubois is world champion, and it's not like he's not earned it. He just blew Joshua out of the water. Do you understand? So it makes sense. So I think that's a really good fight. I think you've got a different mindset with Daniel Dubois now. I think he believes in himself. I think he's punching power. I believe that he's been in there before with him. He knows what he has to do. Usyk, in the meantime, has had a couple of tough fights with Fury. But it was interesting to see that Usyk was full of ambition. He didn't want to take too much long out of the ring, and he wanted to get in and get this fight made, and I think it's a really good fight. Can Daniel do it? Well, he went far away with a body shot last time. It's a big ask because of Usyk's ability, boxing ability, not so much his power, but it's his boxing ability, his speed, his timing, his feet movement, ring movement. So, it's, can he do it? A banger like Daniel, you can't write him off, but I am a fan of Daniel, but I just think Usyk's just still got it.
Usyk has put a timeline on his career. He said he's got 2 fights left. You always want fighters to step out the ring before something happens to them. But does he look like a fighter that's got just 2 fights left?
We'll find out with Daniel Dubois. We don't know what them 2 Fury fights have took on him. Do you know what I mean? They were hard fights against a bigger man. So we'll have to see what happens after the Dubois fight. What fight is it? There's always talk of him wanting to come down and fight Opetao. There's also His Excellency wanted, mentioned BTBF at one point. I think Canelo BTBF is a very good fight. I think Canelo would have a good chance with BTBF. But then there's, would he do Fury a 3rd time? Would he do Joshua a 3rd time? Who does he go after? Dubois, Joseph Parker? And then he's beat everyone then. There's no one else really, is there? So I can't see anyone else, can you?
No. Have you spoken to Tyson Fury recently?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen him for a while. I've seen him. When did I see him? Obviously when he fought, and then he was somewhere else and I've seen him and let on to him, but I haven't seen him for a while, no.
Not fair. I hope we've seen him back in the ring. Joe, obviously great conversation.
No
Just
problem.
leave the final word with you if you want to talk about anything at all, anything in the boxing world, if you've got anything you'd like to speak about at all.
No.
I'll be the one asking the questions.
Yeah, no. Listen, it is what it is. It's got a big, exciting year for boxing in general. Do you know what I mean? On the world stage, this tournament that you mentioned, big fights in the summer. Yeah, we've got, as I said to everyone in the gym, we've got fights to win inside and outside the ring this year, and we intend on doing it. So it's good to have you down in the gym today. Don't do many interviews, so long ones anyway. I don't think no problem, but it's good to see you as always, and thanks for your support as always. And thank you to everyone that sent a message, a text or WhatsApp Facebook Messenger. There's so many ways, and I think, oh, we haven't checked that one. There's another load of this, but it's been really appreciated, and thank everyone for sending it. It's not lost on me, and we'll beat this.